Hi, friends. Welcome to Raji's Reflections. We saw a glimpse about the impact of high expectations in our life in the last two Friday episodes. We often believe that high expectations means having hope, ambition, and love. But these expectations need not always become real happenings in life. But somewhere between this hope and reality, something quietly begins to grow, not outside us, but within us. We feel fulfilled when our expectations are met, but when they aren't, despite our best intentions, planning, efforts, and trying to be calm, the mind doesn't stop here. It replays the conversations again and again, imagine the outcomes, and rewinds the moments that can never be changed. What began as expectation slowly now turns into overthinking. Today, in Raji's reflections, let us gently explore what overthinking really is and why is it thought to be the outcome of unfulfilled expectations and also its impact on us. Overthinking is the habit of repeatedly going over the same thoughts, worries, or possibilities without reaching clarity or action. It feels like thinking, but it is actually thinking without progress. Instead of solving a problem, the mind keeps circling it. Let me narrate a small story. There was once a man who came to a river every day on his way to work. Across the river was his destination. Between him and the other side was a narrow bridge. The bridge was strong. Many people crossed it daily, but the man never stepped onto it. Every morning he stood at the river bank and thought, what if the bridge collapses today? What if I slip? What if others laugh if I hesitate? What if today is the day something goes wrong? He tested the first plank with his foot, pulled it back, and continued thinking. Others crossed the bridge, reached their destinations, learned from small stumbles, and moved on with life. The man, meanwhile, went back home each day, not because the bridge was unsafe, but because his mind kept building invisible dangers. One day, an old traveler asked him, have you ever seen this bridge break? The man replied, no, but it could. The traveler smiled and said, the bridge exists in reality. The fall exists only in your thoughts. And then he walked across slowly, steadily, and safely. That day, the man finally understood. He wasn't afraid of the bridge, he was afraid of his own thinking. The takeaway here is that overthinking is like standing before a bridge that is strong enough but never crossing it because of the imagined fears. Life does not move forward when we wait for perfect certainty. It moves forward when we take a step, even with a little fear. Let me give one more example how we overthink to cross such bridges in our life. In a small town, there lived a father who loved his son deeply. Across a river stood a school, a career, and a successful future. Between the father and that future was a bridge, the child's own journey. The bridge was built with effort, values, education, and love. Many children crossed similar bridges in their own way. But every day the father stood at the river bank watching, his mind full of questions. What if my child fails the exam? What will relatives say? What if he doesn't choose a respected profession? What if my guidance is not enough? And such similar questions keep cropping in him. So he shouted instructions from the bank to his son. Watch carefully. Don't take the turn. Others crossed faster than you. The child stopped often. Not because the bridge was weak, but because every step felt watched, judged, and corrected. Some days the child wanted to sit down and rest, but the father's expectations echoed louder than the river. One evening, a teacher passing by said gently, the bridge can carry him, but your fear is making him afraid to walk. The father finally realized. He wasn't protecting his child from falling, he was protecting himself from worry, comparison, and society's voice. The next day, he stayed silent. He watched with trust instead of fear. The child still stumbled, but he also learned to balance, rise, and walk forward. And the bridge held. Reflections not only to his parent but to all of us. High expectations are not wrong. Love is not wrong. But when expectations become fear, they stop being a support and start becoming weight. Heavy. A child does not need parents to cross the bridge for them, but only to trust that bridge will hold. Nothing wrong in analyzing or thinking, but when we overthink, it spoils our peace. You are asked to give a talk on a particular subject, or you conduct a conference or a meeting, whatever it is. Before you address only, it is wiser to plan and prepare your talk or address nicely, keeping various factors to make it effective. Agreed, you did all the things to your best and the set program is over. Now, after that, if you are going to rewind and replay the talk within yourselves and start thinking that did I sound normal? Did I spoke a little foolish? What will people judge about me? I should have prepared well. We try to assume many things, and this will result in eroding our self confidence and sometimes draining us too. We will decide to do things better next time. Fine. But till that next opportunity, thinking about what has already happened is not going to give you any solution or change the course of events. This is overthinking, which drains you out and steals your peace. Overthinking feels like thinking, but it is actually thinking without progress. Instead of solving a problem, the mind keeps circling it. Overthinking in relationship also leads to assumption sometimes. A silence for a period of time from a friend. No response or reply from him. Immediately we start thinking why there is no reply. Is he so busy? Is he upset with me? You will give a world of assumptions. Finally, the reason could have been very simple. He might have been very busy or out of station, mobile issues, change of mobile, not keeping well for some days, so on and so forth. Instead of thinking too much and making assumptions here, let us make an effort to find the reason or develop some patience. Wrong assumptions may sometimes lead to spoiling the relationship also. Overthinking pulls away from the now. When you are on a vacation, for example, and you are attending a celebration there, you expected a friend or a relative who did not turn up. You came to know that they are not keen on attending. Could you do anything about it? If you are going to keep thinking about him or them, you lose the joy of being present in the celebration amongst happy people around you. You are physically present but mentally not. This steals your happiness. To put it short, overthinking does not prevent problems or does not fulfill your expectations. It only multiplies the imagined ones. Thinking will help you when it leads to clarity, learning, and action. Overthinking leads to anxiety, self doubt, and inaction. It steals your happiness and peace. How will you recognize whether you are thinking or overthinking? Ask yourself, is my thought now helping me to take a decision or action right now? If yes, then it's useful thinking. If not, then it's overthinking. Unlike thinking, which is a sign of intelligence, overthinking is a sign that mind needs reassurance and grounding. We can make our life lighter by learning to think when needed and to let go when thinking turns into looping. Thank you for joining me on Rajis Reflections as we continue this journey together. I kindly request you to continue supporting me, subscribing, and sharing the channel with others who may benefit. Your support makes a real difference and motivates me to keep adding value through every episode. Let's grow together, reflect deeper, and spread positivity around us. Stay healthy, be happy, and radiate happiness till we meet again.